Assalamu alaikum. In today's video, I'm going to be covering Pakistan's greatest humanitarian, which would be Abdul Sattar ED. By Allah's mercy, he has done a lot of amazing things within the country of Pakistan. He was working for 65 years non-stop since the age of 25. He was able to open shelters, schools, clinics, working centers, morgues, funeral services for the nation of Pakistan, and he was able to have the world's largest private ambulance service. So subhanallah, his work is amazing, and I feel like he did such an amazing job with being consistent every day for 65 years. He did not stop. He didn't go and live in a different country. He didn't go and retire. He really worked day in and day out to provide for the nation of Pakistan. Abdul Sattar ED, he was born in Gujarat before the partition, and he lived in a small village, and he was with his mom, and he would witness that his mom would give a lot. So this was his drive. So it all started with his will to serve, and it started when he was a young boy. So when he was a young boy in Gujarat before the partition, he would see his mom give a lot. And through mom's actions, he was able to see the kindness and the reality of how important it is to give. And the situation that their family was in wasn't the best, but the mom continued to always give. And then when he was around 19, his mom got paralyzed, and she was also mentally ill. So he was able to take care of her until she passed away. When the partition hit, he had to obviously move, and he moved to Karachi, but he saw a lot of things happening around him where there were more beggars, there were displaced people, and then even in that position, he still was giving what he could and things like that. So he was very aware of that this is hardship and that people do need help. He decided that he wanted to start building for a dispensary and ambulance service. The ambulance came at a point where he saw it was a need, so he filled that gap, but he really saw the need of the community aspect, the community development part, in terms of the medical system. I guess he wanted to have his own dispensary, so he would actually beg in highly populated areas and collect money for the good that he was going to embark on. His vision, so I'm just gonna say ED. So ED, his vision was very clear, and I wanted to share with you what he really wanted out of all of his work. So he eventually built up from when he was young. So he started doing service when he was 25 years old. At the age of 23, he started his journey in terms of serving humanity and serving Pakistan, and he started to build slowly and slowly more and more ambulances and more opportunities for people to help out within his vision and things like that. So he started to build slowly and slowly, and then now obviously he has so many different opportunities in terms of helping everyone with clinics, schools, like working centers, shelters, and everything like that. He really had an eye for the need of people. So seeing people hurt and not being able to get treatment and having these barriers and blockades for help, he wanted to remove these barriers for the people. So he did that with a really strong will and determination, subhanallah, and that's why he never really stopped till his death. He kept on coming in day, and he lived in his organization, so he was very highly involved, which is rare in a lot of organizations set up nowadays. His vision was not to have this as a charity project. He really wanted a path of change. He really wanted to see a path of change. He wanted to see social revolution. He wanted to see people uniting to get healthcare better. And so he wanted something which he put in words that he really felt the barriers of being positioned in Pakistan, because Pakistan is not a welfare state. So a welfare state is a country or a state in which there are opportunities for people to be equipped with funds to be able to be in the bare minimum. So welfare states is something that protects and promotes the economic and social well-being of its people. So that's why you would see in a country, for example, like Canada, there is universal health care, there is free schooling up to a certain point. So I read this article and I'm going to be putting it down below, but it basically explains why Pakistan cannot be a welfare state. So I'll be putting the author on the screen because I do want to give credit to this brilliant article. SubhanAllah, it's very, very informative. Not only is Pakistan, like, they don't have a welfare state, but they also don't have a social service sector that is strong. Stated in this article is that there is a contradiction between theory and practice. He listed 3 things that why Pakistan will never be a welfare state. Number 1 is culture of greed, lust of power. Number 2 is that there's a lot of charity in Pakistan, but there's no philanthropy. There's no people who are at the top that want to give. There's no viable plan. People are not educated in the realm to launch health, retirement funds, housing, public transport. Like, there's no professionals to actually start to move the direction for Pakistan. Imagine for Abdul Sattar ED, the amount of frustration that his organization was doing way more on a voluntary base. They have a number in what you call to get the ambulance. They have these systems, intricate systems. There was a lot of criticism on him, and there was a lot of, like, when there's good, it wasn't valued, to be honest, and he didn't want that. People would be sent to, for example, his shelters. A lot of children of parents would just send their parents, oh, they're mentally ill, but in reality, like, they weren't. But people also utilized his generosity. I'm going to be talking about 3 traits that anybody who knew him and who basically knew the organization of what he stood for, the 3 things that were very obvious about the way that he was. Number 1 is that his philosophy about humanity. Like, he was like, forget about religion and forget about, any sort of like gender, it's about helping people. So that was his, big thing about, we're not here to divide. It's basically being an open source for all of Pakistan. Number 2 is that he was very simple. His son had stated that he had principles. He was truthful. He lived a simple lifestyle. He was a hard worker, and he was punctual. So even from his son, it was very clear to him exactly the traits that he carried, because it was through proof of concept over and over again. The other point was that he was a visionary, begging, getting money to start it up. Like, he was just like, let's go. Like, again, he was a doer. In terms of his donation style, and this is something that I'm gonna add before I end the video, he did not want any grants. He didn't want any political parties involved, so he would mostly stand outside areas and still beg for money, no matter. A lot of people obviously knew him at this stage. Abdul Sattar ED passed away in 2016 at the age of 88. He started his organization at 23 years old, and subhanAllah, he left a legacy. It's really overpopulated, all of these certain services that he offers. A lot of orphans, mother and children from abusive relationships, seniors not being taken care of. There is a dark side, and he was able to shed light on that. He really did a good job of being honest about the state of Pakistan, being realistic. Even though he was a visionary and had a lot of things stacked against him, he was able to hold those 2 things at once, being able to have a vision, but also to shed light that it's hard to pursue my vision because of these things. And I'm really grateful that I was able to see this in this light, and leaves a legacy in that sense too, right? You need to see the ugly side. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.